Hey guys, I'm Nathan from Arms and Armor. Today I want to show you one of our Munich Town Guard swords that I just recently finished. I've seen there's some others of these on the market right now, which is cool. But I wanted to kind of highlight ours and how we do it to educate you about this piece. Stay tuned. So this sword, which is in our rapiers section, although it's a complex hilted side sword, essentially, or broadsword even, is a replica of A612 in the Wallace Collection, which we had the pleasure to handle early on when we were creating this piece. And then this past summer, I was able to handle the example in the Higgins Armory Collection in Worcester, Massachusetts at the Worcester Art Museum, which taught me a little bit more about this style of sword. So this is a style of cavalry sword from around the year 1600 or 1610 that is primarily a cutting weapon, although it clearly can thrust, right? It has this acute point, but a much broader blade than most rapiers have. You can see the really pretty detail of the way that we grind up to the ricasso here, which is really one of the beautiful highlights of our piece. This sword, is beautiful, and there's a whole bunch of them. Right? There were tons of them that were at a museum in Ingolstadt that then were moved to Munich, where there are a bunch, and a lot were sold to museums around the world. So there's a bunch of them around, and they're all vary somewhat, although they have mostly a similar form. And this form is of a complex sweep right here with a bar connecting up to the forering. This is usually, or always frankly, an asymmetrical piece that's biased towards the back to cover the back of your hand. Sometimes these are relatively elongated, sometimes they're tighter up to the knuckle. There are a few examples with complex perforated forerings, but they're less common. The most common type has this style of forering, and then with 3 swept bars on the inner guard that protect the inside of your hand. The inner guard is tighter to the hand, or smaller than the outer guard, because the inside of your hand protrudes less than the outside of your hand does. Also, if you're wearing this sword, you want it relatively tight. The pommels on these, in some of the pictures, appear cylindrical. They're not, right? They're oblong, always. None of them are cylindrical. And the grips are likewise complexly shaped in an oval that expands with a little belly up here down into the pommel. This is so that when you hold it, your finger goes up over the forearm against this long ricasso and locks your hand in, and your second finger here is nestled in this slight recess where the belly of the handle comes back toward the cross. On ours, we also have, let's see if I can show you here, these pretty incised lines that we put in with a chisel. Here you can kind of see the detail in there, just one of the high quality details that we do on these. Now this sword is not tiny, right? It weighs 3 pounds. The one in the Wallace Collection is about 3 pounds. The one at the Higgins is about 3 pounds, 3 ounces. So they're fairly substantial, but they really move around a point right out here, right? About an inch out from the forering, or about 4 inches out from the crossguard, right? This gives them a beautiful ability to move around as a cutting sword in that very late 16th, early 17th century style. You can also see that on ours, right, the different bars are of substantially different thicknesses and different shapes, because it's not just cast as a single piece and it's not just stamped out, you know, of pieces of a pipe or whatever. It is shaped appropriately with all of the joins, and it is finished entirely inside and out. And these are many of the things you're paying for when you get a really high-end reproduction like ours, instead of, you know, a mid-range sword, which will be fine, right? It's just not as accurate or as elegant, I think. So this one in particular turned out pretty beautifully. I thought you might want to see it, and I had seen some kind of, you know, people on sword groups talking about these swords recently. So since I had just finished one, I wanted to show you how pretty and beautiful it is. Thank you, guys.